rarely do you ever get called out like this, but it's happened. Bill Russell is one of, no, do we say he's one of, or can we just go ahead and say he's probably the greatest basketball player aside from Jordan ever? This is a man that was involved in the civil rights movement. This is a man that's won 2 high school championships. As he told LeBron James, he's won 2 college championships, both of them back-to-back. He won an NBA championship in his first year in the league. He won an NBA championship in his final year in the league, and he won 9 NBA championships in between those 2 years. And he made sure to let LeBron James know, because he told LeBron,
Bill Russell just shattered the internet with words LeBron fans never saw coming. The 11-time champion didn't hold back when asked about the modern GOAT debate, delivering a brutal reality check that has the basketball world divided. "You'd break in my era," Russell said, his voice cutting through decades of hype and highlight reels. This wasn't just shade. This was a legend reminding everyone what real basketball looked like. And what he said next? It's about to change how you see LeBron forever.
Kind of like living the moment, but what I want to accomplish this season is for us to continue to grow as a team every day. We put our hard hats on, get on this floor right here, our practice court, and put the work in. And when you put the work in, you get results. So, looking forward for the process and what comes out of that.
I wasn't planning to ask this question, but seeing the Lakers number 6 with the new Bill Russell patch, it's striking.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was there on the court after Game 7. Bill Russell shared a moment with you in Golden State.
Let's be real for a second. When Bill Russell talks, you listen. This isn't some retired player chasing podcast relevance or selling sneakers. This is the man with 11 championship rings, more than he has fingers to wear them on. The defensive anchor who turned basketball into a chess match. The civil rights pioneer who stood up when it wasn't popular. When Russell opens his mouth about basketball, it's not opinion, it's history speaking. So when he had asked in early 2025 about LeBron's place in the GOAT conversation, everyone expected the usual diplomatic answer. You know the type. Different eras, all great players, can't really compare. But Russell? He wasn't in a diplomatic mood that day. The question came during a private conversation that somehow made its way into public consciousness. Someone asked him point blank, "Do you think LeBron is the greatest of all time?" And Russell, at first, gave the expected answer. He acknowledged LeBron's longevity, his basketball IQ, his ability to dominate for 2 decades. He even praised his off-court impact. But then came the follow-up question, the one that changed everything. Could LeBron have dominated in your era the way he dominates now? Russell paused. You could feel the weight of 60 years of basketball history in that silence. And then he said it. He'd break. 2 words. That's all it took to set the basketball world on fire.
About the 2000s, you hear the greatest era of basketball. When you hear the 2000s, you talk about the era of two-way excellence from both, not only your offensive players, we talk about your defensive players. We talk about the Kobe's, we talk about the Kevin Durant's, we talk about the Tim Duncans, the Dwayne Wades. Well, not only will I give you 30, but I'm also going to clamp you down on the other side. When you want to talk about the physical era of the modern basketball era, which is the 2000s, you talk about where hand check.
Now, before LeBron's fan base comes for me in the comments, let's understand what Russell actually meant, because this wasn't some bitter old man yelling at clouds. This was a calculated observation from someone who lived through basketball when it was a completely different sport. Russell didn't stop at those 2 words. He elaborated, and this is where it gets interesting. "You'd break in my era," he continued. "Not because you lack talent, but because the game won't let you survive playing the way you do now. We didn't have hand-checking rules protecting perimeter players. We didn't have flagrant fouls for hard screens. You got hit, you got up, and you kept playing. If you didn't, you lost respect. Simple as that." Think about what he's saying here. Russell isn't questioning LeBron's skill. He's questioning whether the modern game has created an environment where greatness is easier, where the rules protect superstars instead of testing them. Let's paint the picture Russell was describing. In the 1960s, defenders could literally put their hands on you from half court to the baseline. Hard fouls weren't just accepted, they were strategy. Players like Dave DeBusschere and Jerry Sloan built entire careers on physical intimidation. You drive to the basket, you're getting knocked to the floor. No camera crew rushing over to check if you're okay. No referee reviewing the play for excessive contact. You just got up and shot your free throws. Russell brought up specific examples that hit different when you really think about them. He talked about playing entire playoff games without substitution, 48 minutes of running, defending, rebounding, with guys actively trying to hurt you. He mentioned games where he finished with broken fingers, sprained ankles, bruised ribs, not because he was tough, because that's what everyone did. LeBron manages his load, Russell said, and you could hear the edge in his voice. We didn't have that luxury. You played hurt or you didn't play, and if you didn't play, someone took your spot. Now here's where it gets controversial. Russell wasn't done.
Think of the current landscape of what's happened in the league.
I don't like the current landscape at all. Listen, man, we're not fucking steel workers.
Yeah.
We're not teachers. We're not nurses. We're not somebody in the service. If you're gonna to make 30, 40, 50 million dollars to play basketball 2 days in a row, if that's too much to ask, please tell me. And like I say,
If Russell's first comment sent shockwaves, what came next was a full earthquake, because he didn't just attack the rules, he attacked the culture. The modern player has too much power, Russell stated flatly. They control rotations, they control coaching decisions, they control who gets traded. That's not basketball, that's business, and when you're playing business instead of basketball, you're not really competing anymore. Wait, did Bill Russell just call out player empowerment? The same Bill Russell who stood up for players' rights in the 1960s? The same man who fought for dignity and respect when players had none? Yes, because to Russell, there's a difference between fighting for human rights and controlling basketball operations, and he made that distinction crystal clear. He specifically referenced, without naming names, situations where star players essentially coach their teams from the court, where they decide which plays to run, when to rest, who deserves playing time. Russell's implication was obvious to everyone paying attention. LeBron's role as LeCoach isn't leadership, it's control. And control, in Russell's era, meant you weren't trusting your teammates. We had one coach, Russell said. You listened or you sat. Bill Russell didn't call plays for Bill Russell. Red Auerbach did, and we won because we trusted the system. The load management thing really got under his skin. Russell circled back to it multiple times, and you could tell this bothered him on a fundamental level. You're telling me the most gifted athletes in human history, with billion-dollar training facilities, personal chefs, sports scientists monitoring every heartbeat, need to rest more than we did? He laughed, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. We practiced twice a day. We played back-to-back games constantly. We flew commercial. We ate diner food, and nobody was asking for nights off. The implication hung in the air like a challenge. Modern players are softer. Not less skilled, not less athletic, just softer. Social media immediately exploded. LeBron's fans called Russell jealous, outdated, disrespectful. Old school fans said Russell was finally speaking truth nobody else had the courage to say. The generational divide had never been more visible. But here's what made it worse. Russell didn't walk it back. When given multiple opportunities to clarify or soften his stance, he refused. If anything, he leaned in harder. I'm not saying LeBron isn't great, Russell clarified in a follow-up comment. I'm saying his greatness exists in a version of basketball designed to showcase individual talent. Our version was designed to test it. That distinction, that's what nobody wants to talk about.
LeBron didn't respond directly. Of course he didn't. At this point in his career, he's mastered the art of responding without responding. But his social media told a story. 3 days after Russell's comments went public, LeBron posted a cryptic message on his platform. Real ones know, history will remember. No context, no tags, just those 6 words that somehow said everything and nothing. His inner circle wasn't as subtle. Rich Paul, LeBron's longtime agent and friend, gave an interview where he carefully dismantled Russell's argument without ever mentioning Russell by name. The modern player is more skilled, more versatile, and faces more defensive schemes than any generation before, Paul said. Longevity matters, sustained excellence matters, and nobody has done it longer at a higher level. Maverick Carter, LeBron's business partner, took a different approach. He posted advanced statistics comparing eras, showing how pace of play, defensive complexity, and three-point shooting have made modern basketball exponentially more difficult. His caption? "Numbers don't lie. Nostalgia does." The media personalities picked their sides like it was a draft. Skip Bayless, predictably, sided with Russell, not because he believed it, but because anything that questions LeBron's greatness fits his brand. Shannon Sharpe defended LeBron with the passion of a lawyer presenting a closing argument, breaking down every statistical category where LeBron exceeds Russell. But the most interesting takes came from players caught between eras, guys who played in the 90s and early 2000s, who experienced both old-school physicality and modern pace and space basketball. Charles Barkley summed it up perfectly. Russell's not wrong, but he's not completely right either. Could LeBron survive the 60s? Absolutely. Would he dominate the exact same way? Probably not. But would Russell average 30 in today's game with modern spacing? Also probably not. It's apples and oranges, and we keep trying to make fruit salad. Fan polls showed the divide wasn't just generational, it was philosophical. 46% believed Russell had a point about mental and physical toughness. 42% thought he was disrespecting modern greatness. 12% just wanted everyone to shut up and enjoy basketball. The real question wasn't who was right, it was whether this conversation even mattered. Here's what Bill Russell actually said beneath the headline, and it's uncomfortable for everyone. Russell wasn't claiming he could drop LeBron in the 1960s and watch him fail. He was saying the version of LeBron we know, the one built by modern spacing, hand-checking rules, and player empowerment, might not exist if those systems never developed. Let's get statistical for a second, because numbers matter. In Russell's era, the average pace was 126 possessions per game. Sounds fast, right? But the game was wildly inefficient. Teams scored in the 90s and 100s despite all those possessions because defenses could maul you. Field goal percentages hovered around 42%. The three-point line didn't exist. Offensive spacing meant stand 10 feet apart and figure it out. Modern basketball? Pace is around 99 possessions per game, but teams score more efficiently because of spacing, analytics, and rules protecting offensive players. Field goal percentages sit at 46 to 47%. Players attempt threes from distances Russell's generation considered half-court shots. But here's Russell's real point. Efficiency increased because the game made it easier. Not because players got better, because rules evolved to showcase offense over defense. Hand-checking elimination in 2004? That single rule change reshaped basketball. Suddenly, perimeter players could operate with freedom they'd never had. Guards who would have been neutralized by physical defense became unstoppable. LeBron's drive and kick game? That doesn't work the same way if defenders can body him from the three-point line. Russell brought up injuries, too. Modern sports medicine is light years ahead of the 1960s. LeBron spends over $1 million annually on body maintenance, cryotherapy, personal chefs, biomechanics specialists, hyperbaric chambers. Russell played with broken fingers taped together and ankles wrapped in ace bandages. Does that make Russell tougher? Or does that make modern players smarter for using available technology? And here's the question that breaks everyone's brain. If you dropped prime LeBron into 1965 with 1965 rules, training, and medicine, what happens? Does he dominate through pure athleticism, or does the lack of modern infrastructure limit his development? Flip it around. Put prime Russell in 2025 with modern training, spacing, and rules. Does his defensive genius translate into DPOY awards? Or does the faster pace and three-point shooting expose his offensive limitations? Russell's final statement about this controversy might be his most important. I'm not trying to tear down LeBron.
I'm trying to remind people that greatness isn't just about what you do, it's about what you overcome. And the modern game doesn't ask players to overcome much anymore. Here's the uncomfortable reality LeBron fans need to accept. Bill Russell's opinion carries weight that Michael Jordan's never will. Why? Because Russell isn't part of the GOAT debate. He exists above it. Jordan fans and LeBron fans argue endlessly because they're comparing two players in relatively similar eras. Both played with three-point lines, both dealt with zone defenses eventually, both played 82-game seasons with playoffs structured similarly. Russell played a completely different sport under a completely different set of circumstances. When he talks, he's not defending his legacy against LeBron's. He's defending the integrity of an era that modern fans barely understand. But here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Russell's criticism might actually help LeBron's legacy long term. Think about it. Every great player gets questioned. Jordan was just a scorer until he won. Kobe was just a Jordan clone for years. Even Russell himself was dismissed by some as just a winner on a stacked team. The fact that Russell feels the need to draw distinctions between eras means LeBron has risen to a level where comparison to Russell is even possible. That alone is validation. The real question isn't whether LeBron could survive the 1960s, it's whether greatness requires the same definition across generations. Russell believes it does. He believes toughness, sacrifice, and team-first mentality should be non-negotiable components of GOAT status. LeBron's legacy argues something different. Greatness is adaptation. It's dominating whatever era you're given with whatever rules exist. It's longevity. It's sustained excellence across rule changes, defensive schemes, and coaching philosophies. Who's right? Maybe both. Maybe neither. But here's what we know for certain. This conversation isn't going away. Russell planted a seed of doubt that will follow LeBron forever. Every time someone brings up LeBron's GOAT case, someone else will bring up Russell's words. Yeah, but would he have survived the 60s? And honestly, that's exactly what Russell wanted. Not to diminish LeBron, but to remind everyone that history matters. That the players who built this league, who played through actual adversity, who competed without guaranteed max contracts or player options, deserve more than nostalgic footnotes. LeBron's legacy is secure. 4 championships, 4 MVPs, all-time scoring leader, 2 decades of dominance. Nothing Russell said changes those facts, but Russell added an asterisk, a small one that simply says, context matters. And in the GOAT debate, context is everything. So where does that leave us? In 2025, with a debate that can't be settled and probably shouldn't be, because maybe the point isn't to crown one GOAT. Maybe it's to appreciate that basketball has produced multiple generations of greatness, each tested differently, each validated by their era's unique challenges. Bill Russell isn't wrong, but neither is LeBron. And that's what makes this sport beautiful. So here's the real question. Is Bill Russell protecting basketball history, or is he just another old legend who can't accept that the game evolved? Would LeBron really break in the 60s, or would he average 50? Drop your honest take below, and don't hold back. If you want more unfiltered basketball truth like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're diving into the debates nobody else will touch. See you in the next one.